This cool blue 54 Chevy short bed is fresh out of the paint shop, and we've been given the task of putting on the finishing pieces. We transformed the bed, add some finishing components, and this truck is ready for its first show. Today in the shop, we've got a special treat for a couple of different reasons. I mean, first of all, take a look at this truck. It's beautiful. It's a classic. It's old. We don't get to work on these every day, right? Now, secondly, everything on here is pretty much new and clean, so we're not even going to get dirty.
Yeah, it's a nice luxury, man. We don't have to worry about cobwebs or getting chased by spiders. What we've got today is a 1954 classic Chevy half-ton short bed truck, and it looks good. It just rolled out of the paint shop, and the guy's starting to put the pieces of the puzzle back together again, but there's a lot of work that needs to get done to make this a running truck. You know, the thing is, there's a lot of work that needed to get done to make it look this good as well.
Yeah, right back here. I mean, this is the type of thing, a lot of body work, a lot of paint work. You don't just drop this off Monday morning and say, hey, dude, we'll see you Wednesday afternoon and pick it up, right? Doesn't happen like that.
It's not like the trucks of today where there's a lot of plastic molding where you can cover things up. This is all steel, and, you know, it rotted out over time. You had to do a lot of body work on this thing, a lot of welding, a lot of fabricating to do all the prep work right so the finished product looks this good.
One of the first areas to cut on this old body is the lower corner of the cab. It's been overtaken by rust since water settled into the bottom corner. What they do is test fit the new corner piece and mark the outer edge. You can get any type of patch panel you need for your truck from Brothers Truck Parts. First, they use a cutoff wheel to cut the body and then an air chisel to knock off the excess rusted metal. The most rusted out parts of the cab corner, where holes have begun to form, will get new surface patches of metal. The new pieces of metal need to be contoured to fit the cab and then welded into place. Sometimes it can be a lot of back and forth to get these patch pieces to fit. Use the grinder to smooth out the welds, and you can see how the patch is starting to be part of the new corner. If we move to the outer cowl piece, we can see that more welding needs to be done. They're using a MIG welder to do a series of stitch welds. That way, they're not creating a ton of heat to burn the metal away, but just getting it hot enough to begin to melt and make that metal into one piece. Also, with the MIG welder, they're using inert gas, which keeps all of the oxygen away from the weld, and it keeps you from burning the carbon out of the steel so it remains strong. A ton more work needed to be done on this cab, but that gives you a behind-the-scenes look of what the body goes through to get it ready for paint.
Man, they did a great job on the paint of this vehicle, and I really like the fact they use a vintage color from 1954. The Chevy Steel Blue looks really good. You know, we're not trying to do a parts matching restoration on this truck. It's not what we're into. We want to keep that original feel and look and keep true to the 54 style, but do it with some modern conveniences and luxuries, using new parts that look good and fit well. And let's face it, a 54 Chevy truck's a little bit out of our wheelhouse. It's even before your time.
Yeah, exactly.
So we turn to the guys from Brothers Truck Parts, man, because they specialize in these classic trucks, and they know what they're doing, man. They're really good, and they're able to give us not only the right parts, but the right advice.
No, you're right about that, because we don't work on these things every single day, right? There's a lot of curveballs, there's some unfamiliarities, this, that, the other. So it's nice to call them up and say, hey, guys, look, we're working on this 54, and we want to go to power steering. What do you recommend? And they say, well, look, the 1981 is going to work just fine because you got the pump there, we can put in all the steering shafts, everything's going to fit, it's going to work nice, and you can always upgrade down the road as well, too. So that's real good. I appreciate that aspect, and I say what I always do. I say, look, put it on Bruno's tab and send it. Get it here quick.
As long as it gets here. Hey, nice call on this front bumper. It's a nice, simple line, nice, simple look, and it complements this whole truck well. And, you know, I think that's like the going theme we're learning already on working on this thing today is it's so nice to work on one of these older trucks because things are so simple. You don't have all the wires and doodads and bells and whistles like up front on a new bumper. You've got today sensors, cameras, all that kind of jazz, which you don't need. This, 4 simple bolts, you've got a nice, clean look, and you are done.
Really does. When I work on this, it takes me back to my childhood. You know, northern Wisconsin, fishing, AM radio, just kicking back, picking berries with the grandparents. It really was a simpler time. Anyway, Bumper looks good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get onto those mirrors because
Now,
these are pretty cool too.
Yeah, it was nice. We got a mirror kit, give us the left and the right, the washers, the gaskets, everything you need to bolt them in place, and it's one part number.
Now take a look at this, Bruno. Here was the original mirror that was on this truck. I'm going to pull it into place. How much of that mirror can you see from the driver's side?
I got a whole lot of nothing.
See, now that is a small issue, right? So these mirrors, originally, you couldn't even use from the driver's side. It was no good. So what we do is we pop that out, and this newer mirror will go in, and this is a nice touch because it'll actually extend it out to the front a little bit. Now the driver can actually look through the corner side of the windshield and see what's going on behind the truck. So that's a nice feature.
Yeah, and they look good too. They got that nice chrome finish on them. You know, today you put a side mirror, door mirror on, you've got, well, heaters, you've got electronics, you've got turn signal indicators. This, man, a nice simple time. You know, I think we need to start specializing on these things.
I think you might be onto something. Hey, we need to go to break right now, but when we come back, we'll have more on this 54. Welcome back to TruckU. So today we're working on this 1954 Chevrolet, and we're getting a lot of help from our buddies out there at Brothers Truck Parts. They're sending us a lot of stuff, and it's great to have them in our corner, so to speak, because they're the experts at this, right?
Yeah.
These guys eat, sleep, and breathe classic Chevy trucks. We love it. So the next step in the process for us is this fuel tank and sending unit.
Yeah, you don't want to put a 60-year-old fuel tank back in an old truck like this, especially where you mount it, because it's not every day that you sit in front of the fuel tank, at least not in an everyday driver.
You know, you think about it, it could be worse. You could be straddling it.
This is very true. So we've got a brand new fuel tank. It's going to fit right in place, and we also got from Brothers was some sound deadening material and some little pads to set everything on so it won't vibrate going down the road, because by the time you figured out you had a vibration behind the seat next to the fuel cell, man, it'd be a real pain to try and dig it all back apart.
So we can slide this in nice and easy. I need to pull this in too a little bit. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Fingers. All right, so that goes down. So we can get this into place, and once we do, that's good. Bruno can run the wires, we can run the fuel line up and tie it all in right there, and that brings us up to the filler neck. That simply goes on nice and easy, and then take a look at that. We got our retro cap right there, so it's actually really, really cool looking. It's functional, and it looks nice.
Make sure you tighten up that hose clamp really tight so nothing spills inside the cab. We're continuing to work on the inside of the cab of a 1954 Chevy truck, and now it's time to address the dash. Now, the paint shop did a great job with that two-tone look. It's nice and clean. It looks nice and new and simple lines, which really makes this thing pop. The last thing you want to do is put in a nasty-looking 60-year-old gauge cluster with wires torn off the back. And thanks to the guys at Brothers Truck Parts, we don't have to. We can put in a brand new gauge cluster like this, and it's period correct. Looks like it came right from the factory and gives us all the readings we need. So we've got a speedometer right here. We've got a 4-in-1 gauge right here. It's going to give us oil pressure, fuel level. We've got temperature and voltage. And on the back, we've got all the connections we need as well as the sending unit. All we have to do is put it in place and make the connections.
Bruno's got those gauges all taken care of, and that's cool. Now we can roll up here and start dressing up this naked door right here. Now this is pretty cool because there's not much going on, and that's not an insult because kids, there was a time back in the day when the doors didn't have power windows, power door locks, adjustable pedals and all this other stuff, and Bluetooth technology and all that other stuff. That's great in the new vehicles, but every now and then it's good to go back in time and keep it simple. You gotta love it. So those gaskets go right on there for a little spacing, and then these door panels will just punch in. There's a couple little push pins here, and we'll just slide these right in. Once the panel's in, we can put this other gasket right here that's going to protect that panel from the handle. So we got our window handle right here. We'll slide that on, and our door handle right there. A nice clean look, very simple, but it looks fantastic, and it takes us back in time. Then right after that, rear view mirror. That goes up 2 bolts, nice and easy. There's no map in this, there's no TV screen, nothing like that. I love it. Now keep in mind, the truck can only look as good as the guy working on it. Eat your heart out, Bruno.
After installing new polished stainless steel wiper blades from LMC Truck on our Ford project, We want to make sure they last as long as possible. To extend the life of the blades and add a modern convenience to our classic truck, we're going to install a wiper delay switch. The switch knob installs inside the cab and can be set to allow 2 to 20 swipes per minute, and that's important because when it's sprinkling outside, you don't want the wipers to work constantly. The kit comes with a complete wiring harness and wiring diagrams to make the install quick and easy. With the wiper delay switch installed from LMC Truck, you'll be prepared for any storm. This tip is brought to you by LMC Truck. Restore, maintain, and customize your truck with parts and accessories from LMC Truck.
This is gonna look really good, right?
Yeah.
You know, today on TruckU, it's all about going back in time to a period of our lives that was a little simpler, right?
Or before our lives began.
Perhaps. You know, things were a lot less complicated, like working on this truck. This has been enjoyable and easy and fun. And today, you know, it's a 1954 Chevrolet. Everything's going good up on the front. Now we're going to roll into the bed of the truck right here and do this. And we got a lot of these pieces and parts from our buddies at Brothers Truck Parts. Again, they specialize in rebuilds like this and classic Chevy trucks. This is what they're all about. And they have virtually any part you could need when you're doing a restoration like this.
You know, the owner of this truck has gone a long way in doing things the right way. You know, he went down to the bare frame, he polished it all up, painted it, sanded it down, the body looks good, the paint looks good, but you stare down inside and you're like, well, why didn't he at least degrease the rear end housing, you know? And you look a little longer and you notice, wow, this thing has a closed drive shaft assembly, which really isn't very practical. You take this thing anywhere down the road, you have a problem, there is no way you're getting parts for this thing. The answer to the question is why he left it alone is because it's something he hasn't gotten to yet. He hasn't decided really what rear gear he wants to put into it because he hasn't got the trans in it yet, and he's looking for a Ford 9-inch, and quite honestly, he's being a little cheap because he can't get the one he wants at the price he wants to pay. So it all boils down to getting the right parts, and that's something we're going to address. But in the meantime, we're going to put these nice wood slats over it, and you'll never even notice it.
Here's what we're going to do. Yeah, we're going to sweep this under the rug for now, all right? And we're just going to cover it up. It's going to be nice and easy. He'll handle that down the road. We'll let him take care of it. We can't do everything for the guy, right? So we lay in the wood, and there's a definite pattern to it because we got a couple different sizes of the wood.
So it's going to set in nice and loosely, and you'll get the idea of what we're trying to do, and then it's anchoring it down. And one thing that's nice from Brothers is they give you not only all the hardware, but it's all stainless steel, all polished, so it'll have a nice shine to it and really accent this wood, man. You can see how it's starting to come together right here.
Uh-oh. Look, I messed up. I got a little excited. Here, this one, that hole needs to go down to that end.
Hey, man, I love the unbridled enthusiasm, though, buddy.
Hey, you know, it means a lot. Here we go. Now we got it. Okay. So now we can start laying in those trim pieces, too, and kind of get an idea of what this is going to look like when it's all said and done. Now, we don't want to bolt everything in yet, obviously, because we want to lay everything in, float it around, make some last-minute adjustments, get it all ready to go. Then we can bolt everything down, right?
Yeah, if you look down through here, you can see that some of these spots, you'll have these line up with the holes in the frame itself and in the bed. The other ones will kind of just float, but it'll have a nice, even, flat look to it. And this thing, by the time you get it done, will be nice and sturdy as well.
Careful. That brings us now to the rear extremity of the vehicle, and we got this rear bumper on there. It matches up with the front, got a whole coordinated package thing going on. That looks fantastic. Then we can swing over here and grab this new tailgate. All these parts we got from Brothers Truck Parts, which is very, very cool indeed. And you take a look at this at the tailgate, it's an exact fit, which is very, very nice.
Now, Brothers makes tailgates for Chevy trucks from 47 through 72, and they're stamped from a high-quality steel, which means they're going to get that exact fit. And if you notice that right away, it's easy to install, just like everything else in this truck. 2 simple bolts in the factory locations, it goes right into place. Now, they also have an EPD coating on these tailgates, which means they're going to have great rust protection as well as ease of preparation for paint, man. And you can just tell right now that this new tailgate looks just like the rest of this body of this truck. This is an old truck, and that's not easy to do to get an exact fit like this.
No, those look great, and this is going to be a nice little addition too. We've got these tailgate changed, they're polished, they're stainless, and what they're going to do is limit it. See, if we drop that tailgate now, it's just going to swing all the way down, then we scratch up all that new paint, and somebody's not going to be happy with us if we do that.
Right.
So we'll put these on, and this will limit it. And you take a look at that, once you get them in place and they hang, they look really cool like this, but they also have an optional plastic sleeve you can put over the chains. That way when you're driving down the road, the chains aren't beating up and chipping the paint.
Right.
It's a good idea.
Over the last few weeks, we've been performing our own case study using Z-Max to try and bring this old truck engine back to life. You see what happens over the course of time. You have carbon deposits that build up inside your engine. What they're doing is robbing it of performance in terms of power and fuel efficiency. Now with the Z-Max, you pour it into your engine, pour it into your fuel system, and what it'll do is soak into the metal. By doing that, you've got heat cycles of the engine. That's what draws it in, and then that soaking to the metal allows it to disperse that carbon. What you're doing is bringing back power and fuel efficiency to your engine.
Now, the good thing about the fuel system is when you add that in, let's say you've got a little hesitation or a clogged injector, it's going to clear that out rather quickly. So that's good news. You'll notice that right away.
Right. Now, another use for Z-Max is your transmission. Now, they've got the Z-Max transmission formula that's good for both automatic and manual transmissions. You simply pour it in like you would in the fuel and the oil and allow it to do its work. It'll break up all that varnish inside of your valve body, allow it to get nice clean shifts in your automatics, and it'll protect the gears so you get longer life in your manuals. A nice product right here to give you that same effect you've got with the fuel system and the engine.
I think this has been a pretty cool experiment that we did with this old engine because 20 years this thing's been on the road and we only ran Z-Max in there for a little while and we saw the results that we did. I mean, that's good news for the future of this truck, right?
Yeah, without a doubt, man.
Then we could keep it on the road for another 20 years, but in the meantime, we might want to do something about this, or he might want to.
This tip is brought to you by Z-Max. Performance you can feel.
Welcome back to TruckU. Now, how many times have you done this? You shine up your wheels, you get them looking great, and then a couple days later you got brake dust and dirt all over them again, and it's like, why did I spend all the time washing them? Well, those days are over because of this. It's the wheel protectant from Armor All.
It's great because it protects those wheels, keeps that brake dust, all that road grime off those wheels so they keep looking good. All you have to do is you clean your wheel, you dry them off, take an extra minute and spray all your wheels with the Armor All wheel protectant, and they will stay looking good for weeks. The best thing about it is when it comes time to actually wash your vehicle again and do those wheels again, it'll be a lot easier to clean because you don't have all that buildup of brake dust on them.
And they're safe on all wheels, including chrome. It's the wheel protectant from Armor All. This is the 2-amp charger maintainer SP1 battery extender powered by Schumacher. Now, this is specifically designed with 2-amp power to charge and maintain your batteries and do it fast.
Now, it's fully automatic and it comes in a non-conductive rust-proof case. Now, this is great because it has auto voltage detection, so it'll safely charge both your 6 and 12-volt batteries. Now, it comes with everything you need. You've got your quick disconnects here, you've got your fused ring terminals, and this thing actually has a DC port, so you can actually charge your car through your DC port connector right here.
That's pretty cool. And it's an 8-stage microprocessor controlled charging system that does all the work for you. It doesn't get any easier. It's the battery extender SP1 2-amp charger maintainer powered by Schumacher. Here's the bad news. All AC systems in vehicles leak, and the biggest problem with cooling the air is low refrigerant charge. But here is the good news. It's the do-it-yourself recharge kit from AC Pro.
It's quick, easy, and safe to use and do yourself. Now, what you've got is a 24-inch lead right here so you can get where you need to get to. You've got a quick disconnect on the end, so that makes life easy for you. And all you have to do then is dial in the pressure. So what you do, you go on the back and you look right here and say, okay, it's 80 degrees outside. You set this there, and now you squeeze the trigger until that little dial falls in between those two parameters, and now you've got the right pressure. It's just that easy to recharge your AC system and do it yourself.
And you've got a couple other things going on as well because it's going to solve all your common AC leaks and just make the air blow colder. It's the do-it-yourself recharge kit from AC Pro.
For more information about anything you've seen on today's show, check out speed.com or visit our website at truckutv.com.
Got your hardware right here, buddy.
Yeah, put that over there. We'll handle that in a minute. Hey, welcome back to TruckU. So we're almost done with what we have to do on the 54 Chevrolet. And once again, working with the guys from Brothers Truck Parts who have everything you need when you're doing a job like this. Now, the guy who owns this truck actually did a few things before he handed it over to us, one of which is right here. He's got that tinted glass right in the back, and that looks great. And he actually got the glass from Brothers Truck Parts as well. So it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, as well as the weather stripping and all the stuff
Yep.
that goes with it. I mean, you'd be surprised how much stuff you can get from them and how far you can can come with a truck just by going through their catalog, man. It makes life really easy.
You know, I am so excited about this because when I saw that we were doing this particular vehicle, I thought this is pretty cool. We don't work on them all the time, and we hadn't done one of these wood beds before, and I'm thrilled at the way this came out. I mean, I just can't believe it, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, you know, it's rare that you get this excited about a vehicle that isn't, 6 feet up in the air with huge mud tires on it. So that says something about how far we've come and the potential of this thing.
That being said, this still would look better in my book, all 4 linked out with some 65-inch tractor tires. But you know what? I mean, we got the chains back here, the tailgate, the bumper. It really just kind of flows nicely from back to front or front to back, whichever way you're looking at it. It looks good. But there's a couple other subtle things, too, that he had taken care of up here.
Yeah, all the stainless stuff we got really, I think, makes the blue pop, and I'm a guy who likes blue, so all this really kind of accents it as well. We've got the window trim here, you get the gas cap, the handles, and those mirrors. Now, not only do they look good, but they're functional because this A-pillar is not blocking your view.
It's a big difference.
Now you get inside the cab, we've got one thing we want to do yet is put in this headliner, but we did go ahead and have this trim piece for it done. Now it was painted with the inside, with the interior originally by our paint shop, so this is going to match up well, and we've got that two-tone look going here with these inserts and the paint, which I think looks nice.
Hey, the good news is this guy had a lot of time because he had to get a lot of parts and then ship them out to the paint shop, get those all done. So there is a little bit of a waiting game, but the patience pays off, and it's starting to pay off right now, and it's going to get only better. So that brings us to one of our final responsibilities this afternoon, the wiper blades.
Yeah, it's the finishing touches, the little details that make all the difference. Now, these aren't very big, but man, they are powerful.
Yeah,
right?
these will get the job done. You know what, Bruno, I can't help but look around here and we're missing something. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there's something.
Yeah,
missing.
I know what you're saying.
We'll figure it out.
Any chance this is what you were looking for?
Where in the world did you find this thing? I've been looking for it for hours.
You're on a need-to-know basis, my friend. Hey, when you guys are fitting a hood like this on fresh paint, make sure, first of all, you're very careful, and second of all, any contact point you could have, tape it off with masking tape so you don't chew up the finish of the paint. So what it is, it's a bit of a process fitting this thing off and on, and it's going to take a while. You just got to have patience, because otherwise, you're not going to have anything line up well. So you want to make sure that you set it in place and start looking at your gaps. Now we've got this fender off. It's going to help us kind of get adjusted over here. Once we start lining things up, make sure we're even all the way around, we can bring this thing back into place. But take your time because you want it to look right. You don't want to ruin the whole look of the truck.
It looks good though, and now we can see where this project is going for sure. But that is all the time we have today, so we'll catch you guys next time right here on TruckU. See ya. Nice.
This is cool.
And we didn't scratch anything.
Did you believe it?